I'm 87 years old. I live in a house worth $5 million. My bank account holds numbers you would not earn in 10 lifetimes. And I'm completely broke. Not the kind of broke that accountants fix, the kind that no amount of money has ever been able to touch. Before I die in this empty luxury, I need to tell you the truth. You are running the same race I ran. You think you are winning. You are not. You are building your own golden coffin, driving in one nail at a time. Every single morning, you choose the office over your own home. Sit down and listen. I have no patience for comfort or softness. I'm going to give you what I learned standing at the finish line completely alone. My name is Victor, and I was a predator. Let me take you back to 78, New Jersey. I'm 39 years old. I am ambitious, and I have just been offered a partnership at the firm. That evening, it was raining. My wife stood in the doorway of my study and asked me to come with her and the children on our annual trip to the mountains. It was something we had always done together, a tradition she had protected for years, despite everything. She was not demanding. She was not angry. She was asking. I looked at the work on my desk and I chose the reports. I chose a future that did not exist yet over a present that was standing right in front of me asking to be chosen. I remember the taste of that triumph. I sat at my desk after they left and I felt like a god. The rain was hitting the window. The house was quiet. I had the whole evening to work without interruption, without anyone needing anything from me, and I was grateful for it. I told myself this was what a serious man did. I told myself the sacrifices were temporary. I told myself that once the partnership was secured, once the first real money came in, once the hardest part was behind me, I would have time for all the things I was postponing. I believed this. I believed it for 30 years. What I did not understand then was that in that moment, I had begun building a wall. Not a dramatic wall, not one that announced itself. A quiet wall, built one decision at a time, that would take decades to become visible and a lifetime to understand. I missed their birthdays because the deal could not wait. I did not know the names of my daughter's friends. I did not see my son score his first goal because I was in a boardroom making impressions on people who have since forgotten my name entirely. I told myself I was building a castle for them. People build castles for the living. What I was actually constructing, brick by brick and year by year, was something else entirely. My daughter called me last spring for the first time in 8 months. She needed something practical, a question about a document, something I could help with. We talked for 11 minutes. When she hung up, I sat with the phone in my hand for a long time. 11 minutes and 8 months. I counted the days between calls in my head and understood with a clarity I could not escape that this was what I had built. A relationship that required a practical reason to exist. She does not call me when something good happens. She does not call me when something frightens her. She calls me when she needs information or a signature. I am a resource. I taught her to use me that way. I had a brother. His name was Thomas. He was a school teacher for his entire working life. He earned $40,000 a year. I laughed at him openly, not behind his back. To his face, I considered him a man without the courage or the ambition to make anything of himself. He drove his children to camping trips in a van that was held together by optimism and rust. They slept in tents. They ate food from cans heated over a fire. I was buying my children first-class seats on planes to hotels. I myself never bothered to visit because there was always something more important. Thomas never complained about what he did not have. He coached youth baseball on weekends without being asked. He knew the names of every child in his classroom and the names of their parents and what was happening in their homes. He stayed late to help a student who was struggling. He showed up at the hospital when a family in his neighborhood had a crisis. He did these things not because anyone was watching and not because there was any reward attached. He did them because he understood something about the economy of human life that I was never willing to sit still long enough to learn. He understood that the only thing you actually own at the end is what you gave away while you were here. I want you to understand what I thought I was doing. I genuinely believed I was the better father. I believed that providing material comfort was a higher form of love than the primitive thing Thomas was doing. I believed that when my children grew up and saw what I had built, they would understand. They would be grateful. They would see that the sacrifice had been worth it. I was wrong in a way that does not have a clean word for it. When Thomas died, the church could not hold the people who came. They stood outside in the rain without umbrellas, simply to say thank you to a man who had given them more on a school teacher's salary than I had managed to give anyone with my millions. His children did not simply weep at the funeral. They grieved with the kind of pain that only comes from losing someone who was genuinely present in your life. Someone who showed up. Someone who knew your name and your fears and your first heartbreak and your proudest moment and your worst day. His children had lost their best friend. Now look at me. If I die tomorrow, the only people at my funeral will be lawyers arriving early to pick through the carcass of my estate. That is the real bankruptcy, when your safe is full and the church is empty. Thomas was the millionaire. I am the pauper in the expensive suit. Listen carefully. Here are 10 facts I'm going to say to your face. Facts you will understand too late if you do not stop right now. The first fact: work will replace you in 2 weeks. I gave that company my best years and my health and the sharpest decades of my mind. On the day they let me go, they organized a 1-hour reception, presented me with a gold watch I have never worn, and forgot my name before the following Monday. The family that you are neglecting right now will never replace you. Not in 2 weeks. Not in 2 decades. Not ever. Stop giving your life to people who will cross your name off a list before your body has gone cold. The second fact: your children will not remember the things you bought them. My son does not remember the car I gave him when he graduated. He remembers the evening he tried to tell me about the girl he had fallen in love with. And I looked at my watch twice while he was talking. He remembers that. He will carry that with him until he dies. Your attention is the only currency that does not lose its value. Everything else you give them is just noise. The third fact: success without love is well-furnished loneliness. I chased status because I wanted people to envy me. Half the world envies me now. Nobody loves me. Envy will not keep you warm. It will not ask how you are feeling when your heart begins to fail. It will not sit beside you in the dark and remind you that your life meant something. The fourth fact: later is the most dangerous lie you will ever tell yourself. I said I would be present with them later, once the first million was secured, once the company was stable, once the hardest years were behind me. Time is a river that moves in one direction only. You cannot save happiness in an account and spend it when you retire. You either live now or you function like a machine. The machine can be turned off. The moments cannot be retrieved. The fifth fact: asking forgiveness from a photograph is its own kind of hell. My wife died 5 years ago. I spent evenings talking to her portrait, asking her to forgive me for not being there when she was frightened, for not being there when she needed a hand to hold, for choosing again and again things that seemed more important and were not. The portrait does not answer. Do not leave the words for later. Say them now to the living person who still has the capacity to hear them. The sixth fact: your reputation is dust. You believe your colleagues respect you. They respect your usefulness. The moment you stop being useful, the emails will stop. A year after you are gone, they will not remember a single project you completed. The only people for whom your life genuinely matters are sitting in your house right now, probably wondering when you are coming home. The seventh fact: your health is a resource you are selling too cheaply. I sold my sleep for bonuses. I sold my weekends for promotions. I sold my body for a number in a spreadsheet. Now I spend those bonuses on medication that allows me to breathe without assistance. It is the worst trade I ever made, and I made it voluntarily every single day for 40 years. The eighth fact: your children will become what you are, not what you tell them to be. I told my children to be ambitious. I modeled for them every day and without exception that people are instruments and relationships are transactions. Now I wonder why they do not call. I taught them not to. I was their primary teacher, and I taught them that lesson perfectly. The ninth fact: comfort is not happiness. You can weep in a luxury car, and they are still tears. A home is not walls and square footage. A home is the people inside it. My walls cost millions. There is no warmth in them. I walk through rooms that contain everything and feel nothing, and I have felt nothing in them for so long that I have almost forgotten what the alternative felt like. The 10th fact: you are not providing for your family. You are running away from it. Be honest with yourself about this. The office is easier than home. The office has clear metrics and defined rewards. Home requires you to be present in ways that cannot be measured and do not come with performance reviews. But everything that will matter to you when you are 87 years old is happening at home right now while you are somewhere else. Your task is simple. Stop whatever you are doing. Go to them. Sit beside them without an agenda and without your phone. Look at them directly, not at what you plan to do for them or what you need from them. At them. This is the only decision you will not regret when you are standing where I am standing. Let me go back to that evening in '78. The rain on the window, my wife in the doorway, the work on my desk. I thought I was choosing victory. I understand now that it was the most complete defeat of my life, and that everything that followed was simply the long process of discovering how total it had been. I climbed to the top of the mountain. I want to tell you what is up there. There is nothing. Cold wind and a view of everything you left behind. No celebration. No arrival. No sense that any of it meant what you believed it meant while you were climbing. Just an old man with money and silence, and the particular terror of lying awake in the dark, wondering if anyone on earth would notice before morning if he simply stopped breathing. I remember the last time my wife really looked at me. Before the illness took her mind and she stopped recognizing faces. The look she gave me was not anger. I could have worked with anger. It was something worse. It was pity. She felt sorry for me, for the life I had bypassed while I was so certain I was living it, for the years I had spent looking at numbers while my actual life was happening in the other room, asking to be noticed, asking for 5 minutes, asking for anything at all. I think about that look every night. I have replayed it thousands of times, and every time I come to the same conclusion. She understood me more completely in that moment than I understood myself in 40 years of believing I knew exactly who I was and where I was going. She saw the whole shape of it. She saw the ending from the middle, and she was kind enough, or perhaps too tired, to say nothing. Here's what I want you to take from everything I have told you. Not a list of rules, not a set of instructions that will feel obvious and then be forgotten. Just this single understanding. The life you are postponing is not waiting for you. It is happening right now, without you, in your absence. And the people living it are slowly, almost imperceptibly learning to complete it without your participation. Every day you are not, there's a day they practice not needing you. And the day you finally arrive, full of good intentions and ready to be present, they will be glad to see you, but they will not need you the way they needed you before. That window closes quietly, without announcement, and you do not find out it has closed until you are standing on the other side of it. I am 87 years old. My name is Victor. I am telling you plainly that I lost this life. Not the financial version, the actual one, the one that was available to me every day for 40 years and that I walked past on my way to something that turned out to mean nothing at all. Go home. Right now. Not after this video. Not after the next meeting or the next quarter or the next milestone you have decided is the last one before things can finally slow down. Now, because the person waiting for you will not wait forever. And the day they stop waiting is the day this house becomes mine.